and we are going to broadcast our discussion about our sharing knowledge and our think tank to the people. And we are sharing, global issue. And recently I'm running about military coup in Burma issue. It was over a year military coup in Burma. It's mainly we are I'm arguing about it is ideology conflict, because in Burma, military use leftist ideology and Buddhism religion as a tool for his dictatorship in Burma. So a lot of Burmese people, they don't want military dictatorship. They want democracy. They want freedom. They want their own leader to be selected, not by military dictatorship. So that is conflict is keep continuing in Burma. And we are fighting. We are fighting until the end of military dictatorship. Questraf, can you introduce a little bit about your organization, any activity related to the this kind of democratization and advocating democracy and freedom around the world, and especially your program?
So as to my background, I'm working for a bank in Germany as a geopolitical strategist.
Yes.
And the history, my professional history started back in 1982, when I had an apprenticeship with a bank in Berlin. At that time, I grew up in West Berlin. So I was living on this island of democracy, which was surrounded by the GDR at that time.
At that time, East Germany was a kind of a leftist ideology, right? It's socialism.
It was a socialist ideology, right? Because both Germanys came out of Second World War.
Yes.
And what really happened here is that we knew that the ideology which led Germany to the Second World War is definitely wrong. So we had two Germanys after Russia, France, Britain, and the Americans denazified Germany. And the two ideologies were democracy on one hand, which was backed by the Americans, the British, and the French. And then there was this kind of
aligned, right?
Yes, they were aligned at the time. And on the other hand, that there was Russia, which brought socialism to the other part of Germany, the GDR, German Democratic Republic at that time.
East Germany.
So, East Germany, right. And I was right in the middle of it. So I lived there till 2015, and all my professional life, I was looking after the international banking relationships of my bank in Berlin. So this is why I traveled almost 100 countries professionally to build the infrastructure for trade. And you know that Germany had a doctrine which was brought by our first governments, right, when we actually took over democracy. And the doctrine was change through trade. Yeah.
At the end of World War II, right?
At the end of World War II, I mean, there was this Cold War going on. And it was actually
Germany was not yet unified, right? At the time.
Germany only became unified back in 1990, after the wall came down in November 1989. And so it took us 1 year for the official reunification. But in the meantime, both countries, I mean, the GDR and the Federal Republic of Germany, were trying to come closer together. And they were looking for more cooperation instead of confrontation. So although having different ideologies, the politicians were talking to each other and people were backing it.
Yes. Isn't that East Germany was, broke down and they have no capacity anymore, so they can easily unite with West Germany?
I believe, personally, I believe that East Germany had some capacity. I mean, not economically, but they had also a good infrastructure. I mean, that was not really based on economic values, but they had a good infrastructure in a way that they also, furthered the right of women to work.
I see.
So it was more about equal rights. It was about good ideas how to bring medical treatment, in polyclinics to the public, stuff like that. So when we finally unified, Germany was
Yes.
reunified. I
Yes.
mean, what happened here is that the West, because it is, if you look at it nowadays, I mean, this was the biggest victory for the West, when the reunification came. So it looks a little bit, looking back at the early 90s, to me, it looks a little bit like we were under the impression that all things which were more or less, having a kind of a history of a background in the GDR,
Yes.
were somehow demolished, not just the wall. So because we were under the impression, or the politicians at that time were under the impression that having won the war also enabled us, to roll out the whole system, the West German system, to the
I
former
see.
GDR. And so that's resulted in actually in unemployment. People felt in the East, people felt socially unsafe, although there was a social network, because we supported them financially, but they
Yes.
lost jobs, industries, closed down. Young people left East Germany, and that time, our chancellor was talking about blooming landscapes to be seen in the GDR. In a couple of years, but unfortunately, this hasn't come true even yet. Although I think nowadays things are looking a bit better in the GDR.
I see. So, Rob, are you right now, you are still running this banking issue?
Yes, I mean, this is my main profession. I have also worked on an honorary basis for the medical equipment industry here in Germany for 20 years as a vice chairman, and later on as the head of the governmental affairs in Berlin. But my main profession is still banking. And I'm the only geopolitical strategist in Germany working for a bank.
I see.
Yeah, and
It's very
the
special.
background, it is special in a way that when I was building the infrastructure, the international infrastructure for our corporate clients here in Germany,
Yes.
we always relied on economists' report about certain countries. The issue is, in my view, that economist reports rely on the history, and then they try based
Exactly.
on the historical data to make forecasts. So this is actually a very good play as long as everybody is playing by the rules. As soon as somebody
Right.
leaves, plays another game, then it simply doesn't work. So, in what I realized is that certain risks, out of a sudden, they came up, and they were mostly due to external factors or the
Yes.
geography of a certain country. And this is why we are now concentrating next to the economic department. We are also concentrating on geopolitical issues.
Right. You may know nowadays it was very critical about financial sector,
Yeah,
Russia. I heard Russia, China is going to cooperate. And, in Burma, the military government also cooperating with China. So eventually they want to, you know, probably they want to gathering and against international financial system. So how do you think how much it is a threat to the financial system, current system? Because Russia, China, if military regime in Burma, like North Korea, you know, a few number of countries might be able to
Yeah.
organize. So is there any threat to the current international financial system?
I think threat always starts to exist when people stop talking to each other.
Right.
So what we see here is that diplomacy obviously does not work any longer. So we have seen that, you know, during the Cold War as well. And if and when other countries are described as rivals or competitors or ideological threats, you know, if you reach such a stage of communication, then obviously you are stuck in the middle of a conflict where both sides are not able to move because we are talking about face saving here. So, and I have the impression, I mean, I was born in West Berlin, so I'm used to the democratic system. The democratic system is, in my view, a very good system as long as everybody is really behaving like a democrat. So that means, in my view, that democracy needs to have people, and the majority of people in the country, who are, in a way, very well politically and economically educated.
Right.
And I think this is the biggest challenge, because if we talk about values, so in my belief, I have been to so many countries, you know, and in the late 80s and early 90s, when I was talking to people, then they were actually looking for democracy in their countries as well. That later changed because I believe that certain actions and certain conflicts made certain people think twice about what is really the value of democracy. And in the last 10 to 15 years, people were, when I was talking to them, they were more focused on, first of all, security in their countries. It seems to be a very big issue, and I actually believe in it as well. And then comes health, and then comes education. So this is at least the feeling I've got while also talking to people nowadays after the breakout of the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. And so this seems to be the backbone of each and every society, these three pillars, which we have to fully concentrate on.
You know, Cold War was very much different from nowadays, you know. In case of Chinese financial status, at the time, China's financial was nothing, very small. But now Chinese financial power is very big, you know, even it can overcome America, possibly. But
it can easily, yeah.
The thing is, right now, I'm not sure China fully cooperating with Russia or not. We don't know yet. China is Asian, you know, but they are vis and vis, something like that, you know. So if China, you know, all full cooperation with Russia and all these same ideology country, it might be a game changer, you know. It will be shaking the financial system. But I'm not sure, I'm not expert on financial system, but I know about geopolitics, geo ideology, those things. But it can happen because they are speak same language, same ideology. Russia, China, North Korea, now Burmese military. So how can we prevent? In case of Burma, Burmese people don't want the military regime. They are illegitimate. The population doesn't want. So the people were willing to cooperate with the democracy system, but a few elite leaders are dictating power. Similar in China, Chinese people has no chance to express their, to select their own leader. So I don't know how financial system we can prevent such thing, those authoritarian system encroaching against to the freedom country.
I mean, this is a very difficult question.
Yes.
So first of all, I mean, the thing is, I have been to Burma, to Myanmar once or twice.
When did you was here?
I think this was for 4 years, 5 years back.
During democratic government, that time was pretty good, open, but now it's all a collapse. Financial system, all of economic system of collapse. So
the thing is, I'm when I look at the world,
yes,
and we all know that there are conflicting ideologies. I'm not a person who is saying that the democratic system I live in is superior to all the others, because it finally waters down to the people living in a certain system. When we talk about China, for example, I mean, when I'm in China, I can openly talk to people. The thing is that, as I said before,
maybe Hong Kong and Macau.
Maybe yes, but as in geopolitics, as you know, we always have to look back at history. So certain things may explain why we have a change of systems and ideology. So when you talk, for example, to Chinese people nowadays, I mean, they still remember the century of humiliation.
Yes.
When you talk to Germans nowadays, we still remember the era of the Third Reich, right? When actually the German Nazis tried to conquer Europe.
Yes.
And big parts of Asia. We have different systems in this world.
Yes.
And I have to admit that I cannot tell you, right now, which one of the systems we see is the best systems, because I do believe that each and every system has a certain theoretical approach, but in practical life, we'll see that the systems are not working 100%. So there are certain experts who are saying that, especially if you look at, for example, United States foreign policy, that this is more a foreign policy, which is driven by realism rather than by human rights, stuff like that. So what you see is that even the Western or the West sometimes needs to align with certain countries, which are not living according to our Western values. So what I'm saying here is that sometimes the devil has different sizes. So it is extremely difficult in this world with so many countries to really keep a straight line in whatever you do. So what I'm trying to say here is that talking to each other, talking to people.
Right.
I mean, not just government, talking to each other, exchanging views, always listening, to the opinion of people living in certain countries. Try to figure out how they feel. This should
Right.
be in our interest, in a global interest, because what we can do is we can grow closer together. This is what I believe in. What I don't believe in, having looked at the past and how things worked out, is that I see that if ideology, no matter what it is, it could be democracy, it could be authoritarianism, if you enforce it on people, it never works. It never works. So you really have to look, at the human beings living in such a country and their values and what is important to them at this point of time. And this is where I believe, you need to we need to mutually support ourselves, but because one thing is for sure, I think we can all agree on that. What we need is freedom and peace on this globe, because we have so many challenges.
Definitely.
Yeah, like climate, like whatever, you just mentioned it. There are so many challenges in this world that brotherhood is, the topic. And this is why we cannot leave it to our governments only to talk. We need more exchange, among all the people of the world. And this is what we are trying today here, John, and I'm very grateful that we talk to each other. And digital world makes it easy and possible for us to do that.
Yeah, Rob, the thing in China, even they are communist country, but their economy is capitalist system, still capitalist system, and the financial will be also same under capitalist system. So I'm not sure they are totally cooperating with Russia or not yet, so it is still uncertainty, the financial system. They may discard dollar, and instead of that, they may use RMB or something. We don't know yet, but China is still also depending on capitalist system, If there is no capitalist system, what will be substitute will come out from the China-Russia alliance, probably alliance.
Yeah.
Is there any system is possible if they can make it out?
Yeah, this is what I meant when I was saying, that what we see right now, if we talk about, for example, about communism, if we talk about democracy, there is no pure system in this world. I mean, every system has to either change in certain ways because there is external force. And if you look at China, for example, or if you look at Russia on the other side, then we will have to admit that we try, and we always try to use sanctions. And this is, the typical tool which we use in the West to change other countries. Well, I never believed in that, because I feel that when you do that, that you create nationalism. So that means, if you look at your family, I mean, if you have a befriended family and you talk to each other, this family seems to be more powerful than yours, and you're not behaving in a way like the befriended family wants you to behave, and then they put sanctions on you, that will actually force your family together. And it will actually bring across this kind of nationalism. So what I'm saying here is that I think this is the worst idea is to stop talking or trying to use force. I mean, vice versa. And this is also, depending on all the interaction which happens on a global scale. Because what we see then is that out of a sudden, maybe certain democratic countries are not as democratic anymore as they should be, because they are believing in these values. certain other countries with other ideologies, start to behave in a certain different way to defend their national interests, like the US is defending their national interests. So what we see is that then in this case, the world is not growing together, but it's falling apart. And while falling apart, and we all know that, I mean, at least we in Germany, we have experienced how it works when the world is falling apart and you feel, more or less defeated by the others. And then you use ideology to create a powerful system like the Nazis did at that time, and to try and fight back, and this is in my view a very dangerous moment whenever this happens. So
Right.
this is what I mean when I say, communication is key to each and everything. And I think everybody in this world, I mean, at least the people, not necessarily nations, but at least people, they would like to have peace. They would like to have security.
Definitely.
They would like to lead a healthy life, an educated life, and they would like to have an economic future. And I think nobody would like to deny that. So, and this is, also true when we talk about Burma, Myanmar today. I think this is what the people want. They want to live a safe life, a happy life, and with an economic future.
Burmese case, we've been trying several years. Now it's already 70 years after independence. They've been keep trying socialist government, but there is no such thing as success. Those left-wing ideology, socialist government and military government, they try to create the, domestic-based kind of nationalism, socialism to be compete with the democracy system. It is failed. So we have experience. There is no such thing. Socialism, communism has a practical people interest government system. They never develop it. So I don't know if democracy is failed, what will be alternative? We cannot get from socialism and communism. There is no such thing as an example. It was very successful. Even now, China, communism is become dictatorship, there is no such thing communism as system. It is a few elite people are dictating the government, and their economy is a capitalist system. So that's why there is no such thing ideology apart from democracy available in this world right now. So I hope Western government, Europe or America, has to rebuild democratization in Asia and around the world, because the way they are building democracy is very weak and how to say, it's not sufficient. Because, example, in case of democracy building in Burma, Western countries are never, ever fully working on. They did not properly never cooperate or support to build democracy in Burma. Because this and this with China, they have a limbo, dilemma diplomacy between West and East. So they did not touch Burma, kind of. So whatever development cooperation, the diplomacy influence was nothing in Burma. So my analysis, Western countries should invest again how to rebuild democracy in Asia and those certain countries, In case of Burma, you can cooperate with those liberal-minded people, those know very well about liberal ideology. Because I found many international NGO and Western supporter, they are working with wrong person for democratization and for NGO. They could not hit the point, you know. They give something, they support something, but it's not going directly, it's not properly building democracy. It's not hitting the point. So that's why I found it's time Western countries should hit the point, working with those liberal ideology minded people. So I have been discussing with many scholars before in different videos. So I explain all this ideology issue, different impact factor in Burma, all this discussion I've done. And you know, if you have time, you can also watch it again. So it's a time, I guess, the West can rebuild and reinvest and, you know, reshape the policy, you know, the liberalization issue. I think liberal democracy is still core foundation for freedom in the world, no more than liberal democracy. Even in Asia, because you can point out any country where is the better ideology. China is nothing, I told you, it's dictatorship. North Korea, dictatorship. It's not the will of the people, you know. Some elite people control the regime, the country. So we can reinvest and reshape the liberal democratization around the world.
I know what you're trying to say. Well, actually, I can't judge, because the thing is that I live in Germany as a German, and you know, mentality-wise, I know that we are different from other people in the world because of cultural, historic backgrounds. We have to, as I said, I mean, we have to try and understand each other, and why certain things happen. I mean, for me, it is very difficult to say that this system is completely wrong.
No.
Some people at the surface, they look wrong, but the thing is that, you know, if you, and as you rightly said, you know, if you would like to improve things, if you would like to improve a society, then you first of all have to have a recipe how to do that. And I know, and as I told you before, you know, from my trips in the 80s and 90s, where people in the world, when I talk to people in Egypt or in Syria, or, you know, you just mentioned it, or in sub-Saharan Africa, you know, people wanted to embrace democracy because they thought, you know, that this will be the way out. This will be the way to economic improvement. This will be the way of enjoying more personal freedom. But
you know,
again, you know, you have to, I mean, sorry, John, but the thing is, again, I mean, you have to, I mean, this is at least my experience. When I talk to people nowadays, you know, it's not so much about the ideology, but it's very much about security. It is about health and education, because these three pillars enable you to make economic progress. And if you make economic progress, like I've seen from so many friends, you know, globally, when out of a sudden they tell me, you know what, I think there is a better future now. You know, I can send my children to the university. I can pay for them. I have a much better income, you know, or like taxi drivers telling me I'm buying a new car because I see there is a future. So what you are seeing there is kind of a reflection of this personal confidence that things are going, you know, the right direction, you know what I mean? And people, you know what I'm just saying here, they were not necessarily living in democracies. They were living in other ideologies. But if and when a society is prospering, if and when, you know, people feel confidence, I think then they are in a situation whereby they can say, okay, what kind of government do I really want? Do I want, technocrats? Do I want, people with high expertise, which make sure that, the economic value of my country is continuing to grow? I'm maybe because I was grown up in West Berlin, and I have seen the reunification of Germany. And I have been around the globe for over 35 years now, and talking to people and listening to them. I cannot tell you straightforward, although seems very obvious, that democracy is the best system, but I cannot tell you straightforward if it works in each and every country, because it definitely, democracy is kind of a luxury good.
Yeah,
It is a luxury good, yeah.
I mean, we can check the fact, we can see the fact, so far, even though, China's and some non-democratic country economy is grow a bit, but it is not yet completely finished, successful yet, not yet, because they are still in the progress. How long their economic progress will be success or not, we don't know yet. It is not yet done. I mean, they are in the process. So we see the fact only developed country successfully developed economy. None of the country in the world are successfully developed yet. So we looking at the fact, we don't have yet any evidence non-democracy country have built successfully economic and political everything freedom, not yet. They are just a few fruit in the process. They are enjoying a few fruit. Even every dictator they enjoy, elite are always enjoy. Every dictatorship country, elite are very much enjoy, but it is not the average population of the country. So no country are successfully completely done economic development. We have to wait and see. So, by the way, Rob, I want to know your German government. What is the German government opinion on the military coup in Burma? What German government are able to support Burma so far? Do you have any idea?
First of all, I would have had to have more in detail information about what the German government's opinion is,
right?
Which I don't have, because what I do is more or less, as I told you at the beginning, I'm concentrating more on geopolitical strategies for corporates. I'm concentrating more on issues whereby we can have a much more detailed research on certain risks which prevail in the world, especially when it comes to external factors which influence that. But if it comes to certain opinions of my government towards others, unfortunately, no, I cannot comment on that, because I simply don't know that we need certain things, certain basic things, certain basic pillars, for people, and to give them a chance to economically prosper. And I think this will be definitely to the benefit of all of us. And then let's wait and see how the world is going to be a more peaceful place. I mean, I don't think that we need rivalry. I don't think that we need confrontation. We need more cooperation. But while looking for cooperation, we have to accept that other countries live in different systems, and we may like it or not, but they live in different systems. So we shouldn't, I mean, in my view, we should try and talk and use diplomacy and try and understand people. We should.
So, by the way, also think in your mind, how can you support Burmese democratization? I mean, the Burmese population want democracy, majority they want, but the regime doesn't want. So at least you can do some investment, financial investment, and some law. The Burmese people to people, they can do some business investment and trading and some business. So in that way, we can create the society, and also the investor can also make profit. The people can also build their own society and their own life. So I hope German has very big capacity in financial sector. You may have some idea how to support the Burmese who are many of in the hardship, in this military coup.
Yeah, let's wait and see how things work out. I'm not a politician. I'm a banker. So
you have money.
next to that, yeah, no, it's not my money, It is the money of the bank. It is the money of the people who entrust banks with their deposits. So what I'm saying here is it's all the savers in the world, make more or less the backbone of our business.
But you know how to withdraw the money, right? Example, the money, the Burmese migrant, the Burmese refugee, maybe they don't have any evidence to prove to get loan or to get money, but maybe you know how to withdraw money or how to get loan from the bank for those vulnerable people and those who are in hardship time. If you can give a good idea, it will be very appreciated.
Yeah, let's see, John. I mean, the banking system, is a system which is more or less like a transmission belt. And we in our group, we are also active all over the world. We have our own foundation, which is especially looking at micro loans, to enable people to start their business, for example, in Africa or in Asia.
Right.
And sometimes we would love to see big steps forward, and sometimes we have to realize that only the very small steps bring really sustainable future. So we have to walk in small steps, and sometimes you may lose patience with that.
Definitely.
But I think there is no other way. So let's wait and see and how things work out. I mean, the German industry here, the German corporations, they do work on an international scale. The companies I work with, they also believe in education and not just selling things. That means, if and when they go to other places in the world, usually, and when they are setting up operations, they offer education, and they offer fair treatment. And this is at least what I see when I visit the sites of my companies, in other countries of this world. I think this is a way, one should cooperate, treat each other with dignity.
Sure,
Everybody, each person in the world has its own dignity. So treat them fair, treat them with respect.